Assalamualaikum and greeting everyone. My name is Ahmad Shafiti Benzanuddin, a final year Master of Science Facility Management student. Today, I would like to present my thesis research entitled Malaysia Higher Education Institution Initiative Towards Sustainable Development Goal SDG 7. Okay, my presentation will consist of first the introduction, second one the research background, third the problem statement, for the aim, objective, and research question. Fifth, the scope, limitation, and significance of the research. Number six, research methodology. Seven, analysis and discussion. And last but not least, the conclusion and also the recommendation. Okay, my research topic, Sustainable Development Goal, derived from the environmental issue such as climate change, rising of world temperature, and also pollution. From this issue arise the importance of the sustainability. Sustainability is an objective or goal for quality which the term can be associated with keeping alive, continuing, and enduring, while the sustainable development is the process of achieve that goal over the time. Sustainable Development Goal (SDG) were born at the uh, United Nations Sustainable Development Conference in Rio de Janeiro. The intention was to create a collection of common goals that would address the urgent environmental, political, and economic challenges. Higher education institutions play important role to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal. It is crucial that higher education institutions not only teach students about the world's challenges and strategies, but that they also strive to represent the best practices of sustainability. In addition, higher education institutions conduct diverse operations and activities, either directly or indirectly, that have the possibility to have a beneficial or negative impact to the environment. This is because a huge community inhabit the campus and covers a vast area. Sustainable development practices would be the cornerstone for reducing an institutional environmental footprint. One of the environmental footprint is the from the energy consumption, which in a way of reducing the impact, one of it is established Sustainable Development Goal Sustainable Development Goal 7 Initiative Plan. Okay, now we continue with the research background. The concept of the sustainability in the outcome from the environmental, economic, and social issue, the utmost synonym sustainability definition was given in the Brundtland World Commission report, which is the development that meets the needs of the present generation without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. In addition, higher education institutions are considered to be change agent in many issues, including sustainability awareness. It related to energy consumption. Energy eventually will cause environmental impact such as climate change, uh, including the higher education institution will also contribute to the uh, climate change from the energy consumption. Energy management as a way to save resources and increase profitability while at the same time pursuing broader, highly prevalent, sustainable goal. Okay, now we continue with the research problem. First, the impact of energy consumption on the climate change. The building occupant of the higher education institutions are lack of motivation to conserve the energy. And then From that, the impact of climate change on the need of building energy discriminate between heating, cooling, and other end users. The second problem is that lack of support system for the higher education institution, where they also lack of funding, lack of staff to implement the sustainability effort, and also lack of reporting obligation or mechanism for accountability. The third problem is lack of action plan, including lack of detailed documentation and transparency processes make it possible for universities to monitor their in-house achievement, and also their lack of commitment uh, to execute the action plan. Now, we continue with the aim, objective, and also the research question. From the problem statement mentioned, the aim of the study is to examine the Sustainable Development Goal 7, SDG 7, initiative in higher education institution, where I examine the current SDG 7 practices in the higher education institution. So my objective for this study, number one, is to identify the SDG 7 initiative in higher education institution, where I need to know the current initiative that have been practiced in this in the higher education institution. The second objective is to evaluate the barriers in implementing the SDG 7 initiative in higher education institution, where after I identify the initiative practice, I look at the issue, which is the barrier in implementing the SDG 7. And finally, my third objective is to analyze the strategy to overcome the barriers in implementing the SDG 7 initiative in higher education institution, where I come up with the solution to the barrier. Okay, continue with the research question. My research question is number one, what are the SDG 7 initiative in higher education institution? Secondly, what are the barriers in implementing the SDG 7 initiative in higher education institution? And the third research question is the what are the strategies to overcome the barriers in implementing the SDG 7 initiative in higher education institution? Okay. By the way, to obtain the objective of this research, the scope of this research is focusing on the initiative on the SDG 7, which is ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all in Malaysian higher education institution, specifically in public institution, in the effort of contributing to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goal. Although there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals, I only focus on the SDG 7, as I mentioned before, to the energy, where I look at the energy consumption at the higher education institution. Okay, the limitation of this research is the higher education institution only located at Klang Valley, where I identify there are 5 higher education institutions located in Klang Valley. Firstly, UiTM itself, and then second one is Universiti Malaya. Third one, Universiti Kebangsaan Malaysia. Number 4, Universiti Putra Malaysia, and the last one is International Islamic University of Malaysia. Okay, the significant research significant for this study is expected to enhance the SDG 7 initiative by higher education institution, where higher education institution can improve their current performance in sustainable development goal and take serious action in sustainability. Secondly, to the facility management (FM), where FM can coordinate their strategic management plan with the SDG 7 initiative plan that have been outlined by the higher education institution. And then to the researcher, notably may help in academic research purpose in future researcher. Okay, now continue with the methodology. There are 4 phases that I have been go through. First phase is where I did the literature review to identify what is the issue or problem about the SDG 7 in higher education institution. From the problem, I come up with the aim of the study and outline my objective to be achieved from the study, and I narrow down the scope and limitation which they extend to the research area that I want to explore or focus. The second phase is the data collection. In collecting the data, I use quantitative research method, which I distribute a set of questionnaire to the respondent through social media such as WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, to get the primary data. My targeted respondent consists of higher education institution community, which the community including the head of department, non-academic staff, academic staff, and also student. For the secondary data, I collected the data from the theoretical study, which is the literature review. And then after done collecting the data, I continue with the third phase, which is the analysis and finding. I use the SPSS software to tabulate the data and analyze the data by multiple response of multiple choices question. Category question with the frequency analysis, and for the Likert scale question with descriptive analysis to get the mean and also the standard deviation. After that, I did the discussion based on the result or finding from the analysis. The last phase is the conclusion and recommendation from the study, where the overall conclusion of the study is mentioned, whether the objective are achieved or not. Okay, now I will explain the result or the finding of this research. From the analysis, the total number of the respondent is 113. As shown in the pie chart, 56% of the total respondent is from UiTM, 29% from other higher education institution, 6% from UKM, 4% from UKM, 3% from UM, and also 2% from IIUM. The result show that most of the UiTM community participate in the survey. In addition, most of the respondents are students, which is 61.9% from the 100 13. And then 19.5% consists of academic staff, 12.4% non-academic staff, and the last one is 6.2% is the head of department. Okay, the data show that the higher profession, as we can see, is the student. For the knowledge on SDG 7, 46.9% answered yes, 31.9% answered no, and 21.2% answered maybe, to indicate that the level of knowledge of the respondent about SDG 7. So it can be said that most of the respondents have the basic understanding on the SDG 7. Okay, now we continue with the analysis for the objective number 1. From the data, we can see that campaign on energy saving is the most selected by the respondent. 90.3% of the respondent agree that campaign has been carried out in the higher education institution. Okay, there are also integration of technology to reduce the energy, where 82.3% of the respondents selected yes, to indicate that there is integration of technology to increase the efficiency. 75.2% select yes for research on the topic of energy, which indicate that the higher education institution do working on research to solve the related issue of energy. Okay, now we continue with the second objective. At the ranking number 1, lack of government support, which is there's no government, they are not providing standard guideline to be followed by the public institution. And then number 2 is the lack of sustainability leadership, where the sustainability concept or understanding is very low for the leader at the top management. At the ranking number 3, special position in energy management, which is there are lack of expert in energy management system. Now we continue with the objective 3, which is the strategy to overcome the barrier. So that at number 1, at ranking number 1, leadership and good corporate governance, where good corporate governance can give clear direction and target for the institution to follow. At number 2, participation of the stakeholders. So when we increase the participation of the stakeholders, it also will involve all the community, so that it also will increase the awareness. At number 3, training to provide knowledge and understanding into the sustainable. We continue with the conclusion and on the recommendation. For the conclusion objective number 1, all higher education institutions have their own initiative plan and regarding to energy management plan. This is because the higher education institution have the higher awareness of the impact of energy consumption to the environment. It means that the higher education institution, they are aware that uh, their institution will contribute to the impact to the environment, so that how to reduce the environmental footprint, they create the initiative, specifically the energy management initiative plan. Okay, for objective number 2, the top barrier in implementing the SDG 7 initiative is the lack of government support. Public higher education institution is funded by the government. So without the support by the government, it is difficult to achieve the effectiveness of the SDG 7 initiative plan. So that the government play important role in supporting the initiative plan. Okay, now continue with the objective number 3. The barrier can be overcome by having good leadership and good corporate governance. The SDG 7 plan can be accomplished with well planning of the initiative plan, with proper of action planning done by the head of department to get the smooth operation. It means that when they have clear plan, which they are well planning, so that it can give a clear direction for the execute or the tactical level to execute the plan. Okay, now continue with the recommendation. Higher education institution should have sustainability department, which is the department function is to plan, execute, monitor, and also improve the sustainable development goal initiative, which is the outcome is to reach the targeted sustainable development goal. So by having this department, they can separate the regular department or the core business department, and also the special department where they plan, execute, and monitor all the sustainability related plan. Okay, this is my references for this study. With all that, thank you for spending your time to listen to my explanation. Thank you.